Bruce Lee created a new era of martial arts cinema. But a hero is only as great as the enemies he defeats. From brutal enforcers to towering giants, Bruce Lee fought villains who became legends in their own right. Tonight, we're diving deep into the best Bruce Lee villains of all time. The fighters who pushed him to the limit, defined martial arts cinema, and carved their names into pop culture history. This is the best Bruce Lee villains. Before we rank them, let's define what makes a Bruce Lee villain iconic. A true Bruce Lee foe has three critical traits. 1. They challenge Bruce physically, forcing him to unleash techniques audiences had never seen before. 2. They challenge him ideologically, representing brutality, corruption, and the philosophies Bruce wanted to destroy. 3. They leave a visual legacy, whether it's a fighting style, a posture, or a single, unforgettable scene. With that in mind, let's begin. The Russian is one of the earliest examples of the foreign invader archetype in Bruce Lee's filmography. Played by Bob Baker, one of Bruce's real-life students, his character isn't complex, but he doesn't need to be. He symbolizes something bigger: the unstoppable Western force crushing its way through Chinese soil during a time of political oppression. Bruce deliberately crafts him as a cold, mechanical brute, with slow but devastating movements. The Russian's massive frame and emotionless eyes make him feel like a human tank. When Bruce fights him, it's not just East versus West. It's agility versus brute strength, intelligence versus intimidation, speed versus size. It's a demonstration of Jeet Kune Do's core belief. The biggest fighter doesn't always win. The smartest one does. The choreography helped showcase Bruce's explosive speed for the first time, instantly elevating him to global superstardom. Though Game of Death was unfinished, this villain remains legendary. Jihon J wasn't just cast. He was recruited as one of the few martial artists in the world Bruce respected enough to fight on screen. This villain represents pure technical mastery, a martial arts purist who fights with precision, flow, and spiritual composure. His contrast with Bruce is deliberate. Jihon J, rigid discipline, traditional structure. Bruce Lee, adaptability, freedom, innovation. During the fight, Bruce begins by matching G's formal stances, but gradually breaks the rhythm, subtly improvising, showing that martial arts must evolve. This villain's purpose wasn't to lose, it was to teach, to push Bruce's character upward in the Game of Death's symbolic Tower of Enlightenment. Unicorn Chan, a childhood friend of Bruce Lee, delivers a different kind of villain. Raw, chaotic, unpredictable. Unlike the disciplined martial artists Bruce usually fought, this henchman feels like someone dragged straight off the streets. He's energetic, twitchy, loud, a perfect contrast to Bruce's calm precision. You can feel the personal history between the actors in every punch and counter. This villain isn't about ideology. He embodies Bruce's belief that real fights aren't always pretty. They're fast, dirty, unpredictable. He represents the messy, imperfect violence that exists outside the dojo, and Bruce dismantles him through technique, discipline, and emotional control. Quang in Shik, one of the greatest kicker technicians in martial arts cinema, plays a villain of cold calculation. With razor-sharp kicks and unbelievable balance, he feels like a living weapon. Every movement is clean, every strike is logical, every stance is symmetrical. This villain isn't emotionally invested. He doesn't taunt, doesn't rage, doesn't gloat. He fights like a computer program, designed to win. Bruce intentionally portrays him as the anti-dragon, structured versus fluid, mechanical versus alive. The fight demonstrates Bruce's cinematic rule. The best martial artist adapts. The worst relies entirely on one method. This villain is defeated because he cannot shift styles. He's perfect, but only in one direction. Benn isn't a physical villain. He's a psychological one. A Western businessman manipulating everyone around him through money, threats, and ego. He represents exploitation. A man who uses others' fists while keeping his own hands clean. Where Bruce Lee represents honor and self-determination, Benn's villain symbolizes a global force Bruce despised. Foreign powers exploiting Asian labor, culture, and identity. He is the type of villain Bruce wanted audiences to hate. A coward who thinks power is something you can buy. His defeat sends a message. True power isn't in wealth. It's in integrity and the courage to stand alone. O'Hara is more than a villain. He is Bruce's most emotionally loaded enemy. He is responsible for Bruce's sister's death. He is the face of cruelty, brutality, and a corrupt system without accountability. His iconic moments? The broken bottle fight. The boards don't hit back line. His increasing desperation as Bruce dismantles him. O'Hara's style is unrefined and aggressive, a street brawler who uses size and intimidation. Bruce fights with surgical precision. O'Hara dies not because he's weak, but because he embodies everything Bruce refuses to let survive. Bullying, dishonor, violence without purpose. This villain remains one of the most hated in martial arts cinema because he makes Bruce's victory feel deeply personal. Colt is not just a villain. He is a mirror of Bruce Lee. Disciplined, strong, philosophical. He represents the old world of martial arts. Fixed stances, strict forms, unwavering structure. Their fight in the Roman Colosseum is practically a Greek myth. Two warriors facing off in an ancient arena framed by history and silence. What makes Colt iconic? He respects the fight. He respects Bruce. He grows more desperate yet never dishonorable. He forces Bruce to evolve mid-battle. Colt's heavy, powerful techniques contrast Bruce's explosive looseness. When Bruce sheds his early stiffness and unleashes his freer Jeet Kune Do philosophy, Colt becomes overwhelmed. Colt is defeated, but with dignity. It's the only Bruce Lee villain death treated with spiritual weight. This villain symbolizes the transition from traditional martial arts to Bruce's modern revolution. Han is the ultimate criminal mastermind in Bruce Lee cinema. Sophisticated, ruthless, charismatic. He's a former Shaolin monk turned international crime boss. He represents corruption of the pure. A fallen spiritual figure twisted by greed. His metal claw is more than a weapon. It symbolizes the loss of humanity and the rise of pure power. What makes Han iconic? He never loses composure. His island is a fortress, a kingdom where he plays God. He uses fear, addiction, and poverty to control people. His mirror maze fight remains one of cinema's most symbolic battles. The mirrors represent deception, ego, and illusion. Bruce's final strike shatters those illusions, both physically and metaphorically. Han is the kind of villain audiences love to hate because he is larger than life, yet terrifyingly grounded in real-world evil. Hakee is the most visually unique Bruce Lee villain. A 7-foot, 2-inch warrior with abnormal reach, power, and leverage. He forces Bruce into a fight unlike anything seen in martial arts cinema. Hakeem's character symbolizes overwhelming obstacles, the unexpected, challenges that can't be solved with strength alone. At first, Hakee is nearly unbeatable. Bruce cannot get inside the range. He cannot break the rhythm. He cannot overpower him. Gradually, Bruce solves the puzzle. He adjusts angles. He attacks the eyes and joints, the weaknesses of a giant. He uses mobility instead of force. This villain is defeated not physically, but through superior strategy. Hakee stands not just as a fighter, but as one of Bruce Lee's most philosophical adversaries. And now for our number one pick, a villain unlike any other. A force that never steps into the ring, never throws a punch, and never reveals a face, yet shapes every Bruce Lee story from the shadows. This enemy is bigger than any fighter Bruce confronted. It created the corruption he battled, fueled the racism he exposed, and empowered the criminals he tore down. It is the villain you don't see, but you always feel. A structure built on fear, injustice, and exploitation. The very world Bruce Lee fought against, both on and off the screen. His ultimate opponent wasn't a single man. It was the system that created all the others. The greatest villain Bruce Lee ever fought was a shadow that follows his characters in every film, that strips people of dignity, that crushes the weak to empower the corrupt. The system. Racism, colonialism, class oppression, rigid tradition, crime syndicates, political corruption. This villain appeared in The Big Boss, corporate exploitation. Fist of Fury, racial oppression and cultural humiliation. Way of the Dragon, foreign manipulation. Enter the Dragon, criminal empires feeding off addiction and poverty. In every movie, Bruce fights more than a villain. He fights a worldview. He fights injustice itself. That's why Bruce's legacy endures. He didn't defeat villains. He destroyed institutions. So tell us what you think in the comments. Like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more wicked villainy.